As for that report. Now, environmental lobby groups are actively advocating against logging activities across the African continent and especially in the country Kenya. Led by Greenpeace Africa, the lobby groups have today kicked off a campaign that aims to address the detrimental environmental, social and economic impacts of logging and promote sustainable forestry practices. This comes after early last month, President William Ruto lifted the ban on logging, and a move that was later halted by the court. Here's our very own Joy Gatwiri with more.
What do you want? Climate justice. When do you want?
Now. Environmentalists in the country have continued to scale high the war on logging of trees in the country. According to Tracy Maheti, a community manager Greenpeace Africa, they have started a petition against logging, which has so far received support of over 40,000 people across Africa.
As of today, up to 40,000 people across Africa have signed it to, go against the decision. And as of last week, the Environmental Court had reversed the decision of the government to lift the ban on logging. So as of now, temporarily, logging is not continuing, but that decision can be reversed any minute.
Maheti has further urged President William Ruto and CS for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Soipan Tuya to reverse their decision on lifting of logging ban, which she said will affect local communities' rights, culture and livelihoods from the negative consequences of deforestation.
We are here to ask President William Ruto and Honorable CS Soipan Tuya to not sacrifice our public and community forests by lifting the ban on logging. Lifting the ban on logging will affect so many of our local communities who are dependent on that forest for their survival. It is going to affect our environment. We are already seeing extreme weather events. In the past 40 years, Kenya has had the most severe drought.
On his part, Peter Bulimo, a volunteer and activist, Greenpeace Africa, has noted that corruption has adversely affected the fight against logging. Bulimo has further urged the courts to halt the logging ban until the government is ready to utilize resources.
We still have a lot of loopholes, of course. There is corruption, there is people who are now taking advantage of the ban to go beyond what has been stipulated. And we saw the CS was very verbative about what the government is going to do. But as Jeff just said, it is easy to say than to do. So what are they going to do? What are the safeguards that they are going to put in place? They are saying that there are regulations that are being made. We have not yet seen those regulations. So based on previous patterns, we don't have trust that this is going to work. And until we have accountability, transparency, safeguards, and strengthened governance structures that can show that actually this can work, we are not going to allow this to happen. So mine is just to urge the courts to look at the previous patterns and halt this process until such a time that the systems are in place that can allow sustainable utilization of those resources.
Barbara Kangwana has also urged the government to reinstate the ban on logging since the impacts of climate change are severe.
Our fellow citizens, our fellow Kenyans, to keep on pushing and to urge the government to reinstate the ban, because we need this forest. We've seen the impacts of climate change, and then they're getting worse. We've seen the impacts on our water towers. It's not going to get any better. We need the forest, not just the trees, but the forest as they were. So much depends on it. So much is at stake, and we need to keep that in place.
Joy Gatwiri reporting for Hope TV Newswatch.